What's going on? Welcome to Unlocking Your Inner Strength. In these episodes, I share with you insights and inspirations that have come to me on my path in life, and hopefully they can be a welcome hand of guidance as you move along your journey. I teach because I'm passionate about my message. I teach because it helps me to learn more deeply. Thanks for sharing a few minutes of your time with me for this week's episode, and without further ado, here is this week's show. What's up, everybody? It's Kyle with another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength, episode 289. I got to tell you, I feel fantastic mentally, spiritually, physically. This is the clearest I've felt in many ways, including physically with my lungs in a number of years. With that in mind, next week's episode, I'm going to be covering for you the different supplement, quote unquote, because a lot of this can be stuff you may not have heard of. I'm going to explain how it works, especially heading into this cold and flu season. And it's not just your typical stuff. I can promise you that. And the only reason I'm going to be sharing those secrets is because I want to help as many people as I can with regards to staying healthy, especially with everything going on. Had a great weekend with the kids, had my schedule clear, right? I wasn't trying to be two places at once. Devon was away from Thursday to Sunday. Cleared my schedule. We had different social events, but I was not distracted as far as trying to do business stuff, work on. No. It was me and the kids, and that's a key element, guys. You can't focus on two things at once. You might think you can, but then you're just not present. You're not there. You're nowhere, right? Why be somewhere in body but not in mind? That makes no sense. So that is so we had a great time. Went to see Polar Express, went for a few hikes, looked at a few Bigfoot huts and houses on our hikes. Great party with some of my best friends from childhood and high school. So that it was all good. Now today, first thing I'm going to go over, this is a sales book, so I'm not going to bore you with the name of it. But finding your voice, I want to start with that, and then I'm going to go over a couple more lessons on the 50th law with some stories infused with them before I take off for my next thing on my calendar. That's what that beep was that you just heard. So finding your voice, not talking about, yes, you have your physical voice. And one of the reasons I love doing live videos, and many times I've told you guys, almost every single time, these are not scripted. I don't rehearse these. I'm not saying that's necessarily a great thing, although for me it is, but it makes me get better as a speaker, minding my words. I noticed in the past 2 months, I was starting to slip back into things like, yeah, but like, yeah, you know, that is terrible as a speaker. When I'm live, I might as well be presenting to a room of 100 people because I don't know who's going to watch this. There's no do-over. This isn't recorded and then posted. So finding your physical voice is one thing. And I could tell you when I started out, I was petrified of public speaking, petrified. But I knew that that was going to be a critical element in getting my message out there, as well as writing. So I feel like I've become a very good writer. Same thing with writing. I sit down with the timer, boom, write, and that's it. And do it every week. Every week, you don't miss. Same thing with speaking. I joined Toastmasters International way back in 2005 or 6. And man, I can remember getting up there in front of those. There'd be like 8 people in the room, but just be like sweating and what am I going to talk about? But I did it. And it really helped. So it's always a process, even if you go back and listen to these podcasts. This is episode 289. If you go back to episode 1, I'm sure that there's a night and day difference between that and this one. So finding your physical voice, but that's not necessarily what I'm talking about here. The elements of your voice. Let me read this to you. You have decided to pursue your chosen path. That's very attractive to people, and that cannot help but come across as confidence and magnetism, I should say. You have belief in who you are. That's key. Do you believe in who you are or not? Are you trying to just fit in? Are you one of the sheep, or are you the purple cow? Are you the one that's going to stand out? Not because you're intentionally trying to stand out, but just because you're being who you are. You have belief in what you do. You have a desire to succeed. That should be a burning desire to succeed. And the first thing you have to do when it comes to that is define what success means to you. I can tell you something. You might think it's monetary. It's not. Monetary is a lag indicator. It's just a result of success. You've personally prepared your attitude, enthusiasm, friendliness, and ideas. Do you take time to think every week? Are you a deep thinker? Are you endlessly curious? That's what's going to drive a lot of these things. You maintain self-confidence that comes from your heart, not from your head. I can tell you from a personal point of view, I lead with my heart much more than my head. Try to get the mind and the heart to align, but that doesn't always happen. So if you can get the heart right, like if you believe in what you're doing going forward, and you believe in your decisions. I can tell you when we opened the gym, May 2020, I knew from my heart it was from a place of pureness. I knew no wrong could come to me, no harm would come to me from that. Besides judgment from other people, but I could give two hoots about judgment from other people because I believe in who I am. You see how this all ties together? Your enthusiasm is real. People can smell a phony a mile away. Your sincerity is evident. Do you actually care about your mission? You're eager to master every aspect of what you do. Guys, I still study strength training, anatomy, nutrition, mindset. I was just studying my mind map lesson this morning, going through it for like the 8th time. Are you trying to master? Realizing that mastery will never come because there's always more to know. Your passion is contagious. Your moxie engages others. Your desire to improve is never ending. That's one of my core values, is the slight edge. Always improving. It's CANI. C-A-N-I. Constant and never ending improvement. And you love what you do. All those elements have to be there before you find your voice. If you're a youngster, or even if you're my age or older, I'm 40 now, figure out what your voice is. Go through those things. Listen to that again. If you want the name of that book, you can message me. I'm not going to give it to you on here because I think there's a key element in searching things out, right? Searching things out, because then you take ownership of it. But find those things and then decide what you want to do necessarily with your job or your career. Now, let's get to some 50th law before I got a boogie. And shout out to my buddy Mike Cortez, another entrepreneur. Told him about this book. He got it. He's reading it, which is pretty cool. You know, it shocks me sometimes when people actually take action on book recommendations, which is crazy when you think about it. But reading is the key. I really believe reading is a key to your success. So from page 82, the truth is that for the human mind, everything that crosses its path can be a potential tool for power and expansion. Everything is good that happens to you. Reframe everything. What is the silver lining? What's great about this? How do you take this? And it's mental alchemy. It's transferring emotions and turning them into something different that's going to benefit you. When things don't go your way, what usually happens is that your mind snaps to attention. You find necessary energy because you have to. When your back is up against the wall, you want to seek those situations out. Yeah, they might seem like, oh man, this stinks. I was so comfortable. Anytime you're comfortable, beware that the fall is coming, meaning that you're going to stumble because you got complacent. Nothing in life is static. It's either going forwards or backwards. It's not static, including your body, including your mind, including your spiritual life, including the success you think you have at this point. Everything is an instrument in their hands. So talking about opportunists and hustlers. And with this enlarged notion of opportunity, they create more of it in their lives and gain great power. Momentum feeds momentum. Momentum's powerful either way, if you're going forwards or backwards. Momentum is always at play. I'm going to read this to you quickly. In 1704, a Scottish sailor named Alexander Selkirk found himself marooned on a deserted island for some 400 miles off the coast of Chile. All he had with him was a rifle, some gunpowder, a knife, and some carpenter's tools. In exploring the interior, he saw nothing but a bunch of goats, cats, rats, and some unfamiliar animals that made strange noises at night. It was a shelterless environment. He decided to keep to the shoreline, slept in a cave, found enough to eat by catching fish, and slowly gave way to a deep depression. So think about this with your own life. He knew he would run out of gunpowder. His knife would get rusty, and his clothes would rot on his back. He could not survive on just fish. He did not have enough supplies to get by, and a loneliness was crushing. If only he had brought over more materials from his ship. Then, suddenly, the shoreline was invaded by sea lions. It was their mating season. Now he was forced to move inland. There, he could not simply harpoon fish and sit in a cave brooding. He quickly discovered that this dark forest contained everything he needed. He built a series of huts out of the native woods. He cultivated various fruit trees. He taught himself to hunt the goats. He domesticated dozens of feral cats that protected him against the rats and provided him much-needed companionship. He took apart his useless rifle and fashioned tools out of it. Recalling what he learned from his father, who had been a shoemaker, he made his own clothes out of animal hides. It was as if he had suddenly come to life and his depression disappeared. He was finally rescued from the island, but the experience would completely alter his way of thinking. Years later, he would recall his time there as the happiest in his life. Now, I'm going to actually end it there, even though I have more marks to go over with you guys, because I want you to meditate on that, what I just read you about that sailor from the early 1700s. He looked back on those dark days as the happiest times in his life. I know, like, for example, when we started Newell Strength, and I always call, with those when I get into deep conversation about if they're interested in the history of it, it was like the wild, wild west. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just passionate. And you look back on it, and as far as my business life goes, those are the happiest days of my life. Those early days when I didn't know what I was doing, when I was stressed. I remember talking to my principal when I was a teacher in Bridgewater. And my heart was on fire for training people, personal training. Everything I made from my salary, every gift I asked for like Christmas or my birthday was geared towards training. It was equipment or it was educational stuff or seminars. And I just kept thinking, where am I going to find somebody to train? I just want to train somebody. I'll do it for free. I don't care. And I would literally ride my bicycle at night with flyers because it was easier than in the car around neighborhoods. And I'm a grown man at this point. And I'd be putting flyers, I got to find some of those flyers because they'll probably crack you up, in people's mailboxes. So the passion was there. And then the business slowly grew. But I remember almost having a panic attack on the way to the first facility in 2011. Now I had overhead. Now I had, like, at the time, which seemed like a lot to me, like $15,000 worth of equipment that I had to pay for on top of what I already had. I remember being like, what if this doesn't work? What's going to happen? And I allowed that thought for like 10 minutes and then I snapped out of it. Boom. But those days, those chaotic days, figuring stuff out on the fly, going away, we're open for like 2 months. We left 2 or 3 months. We left for our honeymoon. So I left intern Gabe, who wanted to be my first coach, in charge for like 10 days. And I was thinking, you know what? As long as the building's still standing, everything's okay. I remember going to seminars when Gabe went back to school. And I was still teaching. And I would travel. I mean, there was one seminar that comes to mind out in Ohio. An elite FTS seminar at Dave Tate's place. And it was like a Thursday, Friday. I said, I'm going to the seminar. And I put Jacques and some of the members. I said, here's the key. Here's the workouts. You guys run the gym. I'll be back. And that wasn't the only time that happened. But it worked. Right? Can you imagine people doing that nowadays? But that's the difference, right? When you're passionate about something. and you trust those, and you know that you have mutual respect and care for people in your life. Right, it comes back full circle. Well, that's what I got for you today. A couple announcements. We got Festivus at the Hillsboro Gym this Saturday, beginning at 4 p.m. Reindeer will be there around 5:30. It's potluck and BYOB. Anybody's welcome. Please come out. It's a good time. And we got a back pain seminar this Thursday. First one we're doing Steve Parenti of ProCare Rehab. It's at our Flemington Gym at 8 o'clock this Thursday, which is the 9th. Really looking forward to that. I'm just going to be a spectator in the crowd taking notes. So that is at the Flemington Gym, 8 o'clock this Thursday. Seating's limited, so get there early if you can, like 7:45, and let us know if you want to come. Again, you don't have to be a member
for today's episode. I appreciate you and your time, truly. I'm humbled and honored if you made it to the end of this episode. Don't forget, you can go to kylenewell.com for your free ebook written by yours truly on getting started with fasting, infused with 5 mind map principles never before seen. This is something I have not given out to anybody else that'll help you see the light when it comes to your fasting journey and creating better health, both physically and internally. Remember, it's all about the mind, body, and spirit. Until next week, peace.